And so basically, Al, I'm gonna do a little intro, and what I'd like you to do is imagine you're talking to a medical doctor or and kind of there's a lot of these self beliefs that they think that are incorrect, meaning like they're gonna be just busy because they put a little shingle out, and how you've helped people in the past. Okay.
Sure, got it.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Podiatry Practice Mastery. My name is Don Pelto, and I have Al here, and we're going to be talking from Profit 911. We're going to be talking about some marketing. Thanks for coming, Al.
Hey, thank you very much for having me.
You're welcome. So, as we were talking a little bit before, when you're meeting a physician or any type of healthcare provider, what are some of the common mistakes or misconceptions that you see that they're doing?
Sure. I would say normally when I deal with any kind of medical professionals, the biggest problem I see is what's called the curse of knowledge, which means that you guys are real smart, very, very smart people, but sometimes you're too smart and you don't necessarily break it down into language for everybody who doesn't know what plantar fasciitis or whatever happens to be is. So I hear a lot of videos, a lot of people coming out and saying, oh, I'll do this. And they name off the 45 different letter long things. And it's just like, okay, well, you have problems, you have pain, here's how we can fix it. So that's one big thing I think is great about having an independent marketing agency like this. You can come in and say, I don't know what all these terms mean. So break it down a little bit because you guys are too smart sometimes.
So a lot of them are talking, well, I think we talk in doctorese. It's a lot harder to talk simple. What age level should marketing be at? Is it like a third grade age level or something like that? Or
honestly, yeah. Because I mean, you have the attention span of people for like maybe 7 seconds at the most. And the second you list off something that has more than 10 letters, brains off. Okay, I don't care anymore because I came in here because the good thing about a medical practice is clients come to you because they have an issue.
Yeah.
So they're going to probably have to get it worked out, which is a different kind of marketing. So you've got an advantage there on that one. But whenever you go in there and talk to somebody in the crazy lingo, they'll turn you off and like, I don't care anymore, especially if you're trying to get them to come to your office in the first place.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. If a doctor is kind of starting out, let's say you were talking to a doctor just out of school, put his shingle out. Okay, what are the 80-20 rule? What are the 20% of the things they're going to bring in 80% of his new patients and things like that? If you would start over from day one, what should they be doing?
Sure. The biggest thing I always say is you got to put yourself in the prospect's shoes, with no pun intended there, the podiatry thing. But I say that a million times, but until you really sit down, and I like to almost stare at a blank wall and focus on it and say, okay, I am a middle-aged male and I have this problem. What do I do throughout the day? What job do I have? How does this problem affect my job? And if you can speak to the person and say, look, I know that when you work construction, so I know that when you are on a ladder or whatever, or if you're on your feet all day or whatever, I know you have a problem with this. This might be the cause because a lot of people, I've seen people who have on their feet all the time. This may be the issue. I would check into this type of thing. Until you really step way back and think about who it is you're talking to, then you can finally get the right message. And another thing I see with medical professionals a lot is very analytical thinkers. And most of marketing is about emotions. You really got to go and tell them, I understand you've got pain. I understand it's holding up things. I get it, instead of coming in and saying, well, the 20% of people have this, that. So it's very much about speaking to emotions when you talk to anybody so they can relate to you, so they can end up coming in.
Yeah, so it sounds like what you were mentioning is kind of like, I think what you guys use is called an avatar, kind of like an ideal client. So, and so you ask a doctor, well, if we're talking about feet, what do you do? Well, I do everything regarding feet. I do heel pain, I do fungal toenails, I do amputations, I do surgery. When you're creating a message, they always talk about picking one target market at a time and then kind of going deep. So I know you've talked about like this message, but how do I use this message? Is this like in all my marketing, like all my emails, everything that I put on my website, everything is to that one market only?
It can be, it really depends, because a lot of, like I said before, if you've got pain already, they're going to come to you. And a lot of times doctors have to find the way that to either show them, hey, you've got pain. I know you do. It can be fixed. Come over and I can show you how to fix it. I know I can show you how to make your life better by fixing the feet pain you may have or whatever it is. And there's different methods you can do it. You can go through, Google searching, which would be the best thing I would say. They're in their Google and they're typing, foot pain, blah, blah. Your ad should pop up and say, I get it. We can fix it. Your life can be better. Let's do this type of thing, instead of just hoping that they find you, which a lot of people do, like you said.
Or they want like, I'm in Worcester, so Worcester's best podiatrist. Like that's who cares about how good I am or we are. If they don't know how I'm, like, you're not speaking to them. So you're talking like direct response should be about their pain point.
Yeah, exactly it. Yeah. And I mean, a lot of people, whenever they go to write any kind of text or any kind of copy for anybody, they'll write it about how great I am. I have the greatest business and I have this many chairs and I have this many docs and we have a new sign out. It's fantastic. I don't care. My feet hurt. Fix them. That's it. Break it down to that.
I remember when we were writing something, because the way you guys are helping is we're doing a newsletter to all the referring doctors. So I took a list of all the referring doctors. I think there's like 300 and some. And we're sending out a newsletter. And you said to me, okay, doc, you can only refer to DPM once, and you can only refer to what you treat once. And, basically they're just looking to be entertained a lot of time with these and kind of be front of mind. So talk a little bit about that. Like, that's totally a different concept. We feel like we need to be teaching all the time.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Newsletters, especially. And you're doing a great thing with sending a newsletter out to referral sources. And if there is any other doctors out there who are thinking about spinning up marketing, a lot of people come to your office probably from referrals from other people, from word of mouth type thing. So what you need to do is activate your current list. If you have a list of contacts, activate them through newsletters or whatever happens to be. Same thing with referral networks, activate them through newsletters. And that's not just enough though. I mean, they can get a newsletter and they say, okay, cool. Do they actually want to look at it? Do they really care what board you were on in '83? And, they may care about books you've written because it shows you're an authority in the field, but most of the time you need to talk about what they care about. If you're going to send a newsletter to clients, no offense, I don't want to read about feet for 4 pages. I want something that's going to entertain me. Give me some Sudoku, give me something, whatever else, something that actually makes me open it and read it. That way I say top of the mind. So it's all about just getting basically your logo in front of them and saying, oh yeah, these people are in my head. And then someone else happens to mention something later on at some cocktail party. And I can be the smart one and say, well, I happen to know a podiatrist who's really good. You should check this guy out. We got a great newsletter from him type thing. Just staying on top of the mind of somebody else like that.
Yeah. So we're doing print newsletters to them. Now to the patients, like, are there like a top 5? Like, what are you probably have clients, like, there's so that when you think about marketing things, you can do so darn many things. Yeah. You can do like a monthly, e-newsletter. You can do, send mail newsletters. You can do like lead downloads, like books. It's just a little overwhelming sometimes. Yeah. How do you help people decide, like, what should they do first? What shouldn't they do? What has the most juice with the squeeze?
Sure, absolutely. And I think I mentioned to a question I mentioned to you, I think a few weeks ago. I was like, if you were to get either an email or a print newsletter, and how would you react to this if you saw it in an email? Let's say every day you get 50 emails and 47 of them are spam. How do you feel about the 47 companies that emailed you? They're kind of an annoying pest. They're not a welcome guest anymore. They're just like, oh, another stupid email, blah, blah. Unfortunately, email has become that now, that if you are sending out a newsletter, it's going to get deleted right away. It's going to probably go to spam right away. And that's the unfortunate fact of it, especially with the new iOS 15, all that stuff like that. It's making it even harder to deliver emails. But physical print mail, like you're doing with newsletters, they'll get to you, people will actually look at them. And even if the gatekeeper stops at least somebody's seeing something and your logo is staying right there in front. So unfortunately, it's getting harder and harder to email out anybody. Like I said, it's going to spam, or it's not even getting delivered at all. And then when it does get delivered, it goes to the 47 other companies, and you're like, oh, thank you for wasting my half a second having to delete this stupid thing now. And you're not a welcome guest at that point anymore. So I would say print is really a good way to get to anybody, because it's going to get delivered. Well, with the post office, but it should get delivered.
Yeah. And so what are some other things that have been working for some of your other clients?
Sure. Well, I guess the biggest thing would be just making sure that whenever you cover marketing and let's say people are coming to your office, marketing starts the second they get to your site. Even before that, let's say they get to your site, they have a pain point. How can you get them into your office fastest, basically? Do they have a way to get in contact with you? Is there a contact form? Can they schedule their own appointment with an online appointment thing? That's pretty cool like that. Mm-hmm. And then when they do come into your office, is it sterile and quiet and cold? Because nobody wants to go into a place that's awkward and quiet and unsterile. Like no one ever says, oh, gee, I wish my doctor's office was more cold and sterile. I wish it was more unlike my house. You know, people want to come in and be comfortable and be welcomed. And when you have an experience like that, you're more likely to go back to this doctor. Any kind of a personal connection you can make, once again, an emotional connection you can make with somebody, fire a, you know, my doctor's office is my real home on a sign on a wall or something like that, and cushy chairs, people are going to appreciate that kind of thing, which goes a little bit, kind of dives a little bit beyond the marketing side, but that's a really good thing to re-engage your current list is what I'm saying. People who already go in there, make sure they have a great experience from the second they walk in. It's like they're in the parking lot, honestly.
Yeah, no, I think that's, and they need to be wowed, you know.
Yes.
They need to be wowed by you. I have some tips that I kind of share with people about getting, because everyone either comes from online reviews or online reviews right now. That's where, even if you are referred by a primary care, they're going to check online reviews. So thoughts about orchestrating that?
So I would say is if you have a good relationship with clients, make sure they give them the easiest possible way to give you a good online review. Some people will say, like, they'll send an email and said, hey, you just came over, we'd love to give you an online review. Okay, bye. No, here's the link, the exact link you click on that takes you literally to where it says, click how many stars you want for this company. Give them that exact link to make it as super easy as possible for them, because they'll okay, I'm going to Google you, I'm going to give you a review, and they Google you and they see something, an ad over here and something shiny over there happens, and they get distracted and they forget to give you a review.
So yeah, good, go ahead.
Yeah, so just as easy as possible to give them the best possible chance of actually giving you a good review.
Now,
for sure.
I want to talk about this whole bright shiny object syndrome.
Oh,
okay, and not for me as a doctor, because I have it, but like patients, like one thing that I find that I'm guilty of, like they go to my website and I give them way too much information. Like there's 501 things, so they really don't know what you want them to do.
Yep.
And someone said, like, what is it? A confused mind, you know, you're gonna lose them. So
absolutely.
Any thoughts about that, like being more clear or being clear at your communication, only have one offer? Or
yeah, I mean, you're dead on there. Most people think about marketing and think about, I'm going to run some Facebook ads or I'm going to do this ads or whatever like that. But no one really thinks about the fact that whenever you come into your website, you know, make sure that they have a clear and direct path where you want them to go. Like you said, exactly. You can have a guarantee and check this little buzz and whistle out. And I put a blog over here and I got this over here. And then they start looking at things and they're like, oh, that reminds me of something else. And they leave, exactly like you're saying. So it is best to try to have a very clear, specific message. Almost if depending on if you have multiple services or if you want information or whatever, you can almost make it a choose your own adventure. They get there and there's two buttons. Do you want to schedule, or do you have foot pain even more? Do you have pain that need help? Yeah, exactly. Take these two different paths and go the two different directions. And everything's going to be there if they want to be there. And for the most part, once again, no offense, no one's going to go into your blog and read all your blog articles about certain things, because generally speaking, your clients have an issue, they want it to get fixed. Blogs are great because they'll keep you high up on the Google rankings, but for the most part, they have an issue. They want to get it fixed. They want to make sure you're a legitimate place and they're not going to get kidnapped if they walk into your office. So yeah, basically you making sure that they have a clear, easy path and you're showing exactly what you want to show them.
Yeah, I think that's what we can take to heart, because I was looking at a site the other day, and this guy, he had great stuff, but he had like, okay, do you want to learn about your condition? Do you want to download one of my books? Do you want one of my courses? Do you want to go to my YouTube? And I look at that and I'm overwhelmed. So a better way, do you ever see, I've never seen a site like this, because all the sites have those headers with all those options.
Yeah.
And then the main page. Who I was listening to recently was Russell Brunson, and he talks about a funnel page.
Yes.
Is that what it's called? A funnel.
Probably a landing page.
Funnel hub. Basically, okay. Yeah. You have different funnels and all on one page. So it looks like a website, but basically all of them are going to go get their email, either make an appointment or learn. You know, yes. Have you ever seen a site that only has those two options? Would that be it?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it always depends on what kind of business you're in, but I would say 100%. That is the way to go. Make it super clean and easy for anybody to get to. We have what's called landing pages. It's probably a common term. What a landing page is supposed to be is a page you get to that they have nowhere else to go except for where you want them to go. You can have pictures and say, this is where we're at, maybe a little video that they can watch, whatever. But at the end, it is the goal you want them to get to. So you don't have the nav bar, you don't have the the ads and stuff like that. It's all going to be right there, just easy to go on. So yeah, Russell Brunson's right on almost everything he says, to be honest. Yeah, a good way to do it is just have funnels built behind it, and they'll lead in the direction you want them to go to. They don't get
Yeah.
distracted off by something
And
else.
then in terms of your list, we're going to get deep now. For people that are listening, they might not be familiar, but we're going to talk the difference between, they call it, one's called a soap opera sequence, and the other one is like a Seinfeld. So, this is Russell's terms, but basically, when someone gets my ebook for heel pain, right, then I do like a 5 email sequence about heel pain, for example. But then after that, like I don't have like a 300 email sequence on heel pain. Then it goes into like just the email, the weekly email, the Seinfeld, which he talks about making them entertaining, like you said, like you're just telling stories. Like how much does it need to be content, and how much is entertaining in your opinion?
Was it good? I say 80-20 at
80%?
the most. I would say 80% entertaining, 20% factual.
Wow.
Because like I said, it's hard enough to get anyone to read an email, let alone, read an email. It's just packed full of information that they don't really care that much about. They just care about their pain and getting rid of it. They don't care about the new technology and fungus removal of the toenail if they've got heel pain. They're going to get what they want to get. But if they're going to go in there and say, oh, I did the Sudoku in here, or they got a good monthly joke, or hey, they always have interesting articles about this, or I'm interested in the story the doctor's going to tell, or something like that. That's got people in there, and that's what gets your logo and your name at the top of their brain whenever something comes down.
Thoughts at becoming a better copywriter, like writing. Do you write a lot of copy?
I do, yeah. So once again, it comes down to the idea of emotions versus analytical. There's a great book that I want to plug. It's called Switch. It's by Chip and Dan Heath, I think is the name of it, the authors. It's fantastic. It talks about emotion versus analytical. And basically they say everyone's got an emotional elephant, and the analytical guy is the rider on the elephant. The elephant's going to tell you where to go. The rider may try to pull you in certain directions, but the emotions are what tells you which direction to go in. And when you can get them both working in the same direction, that's whenever you make some actual stuff happen. So I keep that in mind every time I write anything about getting someone's emotions. And like I said before, just getting down to who they are, what their process is, what their day is, and what issue they're having that can be solved. What keeps them up at night is what people say.
Yeah.
So
I think that was very, very helpful. And who is your like your best type of a client that you guys like, that you can really wow and help and provide a lot of great value for?
That's a good question. I mostly deal with doctors, lawyers, things like that. To be honest, it kind of reminds me, if you go to a tattoo parlor, they say, oh, just let the tattoo artist do whatever tattoo he wants to do, which for me is crazy. But as I work in here, I kind of get the idea of like, when you go in there and say, hey, I want to generate more leads or whatever happens to be. The marketing guys can come in and say, I think we should do X, Y, Z, and here's where it's going to go. We know what we're doing. All right, cool. The best client for me is one who says, got it, let's do it, let's go all the way through. It doesn't get most of the way there and changes 1.5 million things, so we can't actually execute, so we can never really test anything. A lot of people have what you might have referred to as analysis paralysis. They're thinking about something for so long, they get stuck on it. Or the other thing is instead of ready, aim, fire, it's ready, aim, 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 and never actually pull the trigger and see if it's going to work or not. So
wow. I think, so you need someone that can help, because I think a lot of us that are professionals, you don't have time. You try to, but ultimately you just need a who that can help you for how to do it.
And once again, that's the same thing. I'll do a lot of business to business and B2B stuff. And that's the number one thing I have in my head. If I'm talking to another business owner, they may have $1 billion, they may have a great building, but what they don't have is time. They don't have time. So once again, when I'm speaking to another professional, I'm talking to them, and I can get you more time by doing X, Y, Z type thing. So once again, I try to put myself in the shoes of the professional, of the business owner, and say, no one has enough time, especially if you own a business.
Yeah. Well, great, Al. And did you have any things that you would recommend that any free downloads on your site or things like that, or things that you'd like them to look at, or how they can learn more about your company there?
Sure. Yeah, we're on profit911.biz. We got a lot of our stuff in there. The best thing you can really do, are the president of the company named Justin, he offers free consultations for anybody, like 35-minute long. You can go in there and jump on his calendar. He's pretty busy, but I think he's got one like, within a couple of days type thing of when you want to book. And you basically say, hey, I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to get more clients, or I want to engage my current list, or I know that, 80% of my preference come from 20% of my people. How can I give them better things? And Justin come up with some kind of strategy, some kind of ideas, and how to execute them. And there's no obligation. You can say, I like it, I don't like it, let's do it, let's not do it. And it can go away, and it gives you free advice from specific for your exact business.
Yeah, and that's what I find. He gave a ton of advice, gave a ton of value. I did that with him, I think, a couple times now. And he's like, you should do this. And if you don't want to do it, we'll find someone that'll do it for you. Either we'll do it or we'll outsource to someone else.
Absolutely.
Because I think you hit, Al, you hit it on the head. It's time. Like, we're spending money to buy our time back.
Exactly.
Because if you want something done, if you don't care, you shouldn't even be listening to this. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
in terms of
exactly.
If you made it this far. But well, great. Well, I appreciate it. I appreciate your time and helping to explain everything.
No problem. Thank you very much.